Mary Fitzpatrick.
Gurv Margus, Caherlock and Fáilte Minister. Delighted to welcome you here. I suppose when Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and the Green Party put their differences aside to form a government, they did so to try and create a stable government that would address both climate change and the threat of COVID-19 and re-establish our society and our economy. And this third piece of legislation before the House that's been brought here today, I think, is a real manifestation of that serious commitment from the government to start to address climate change and to take climate action. The amendment aims to deliver on the government's promise in the programme for government to strengthen government's action and the state's action on climate change. And I want to thank you, Minister, for bringing the piece of legislation. It's a mouthful, the National Oil Reserves Agency's Amendment and Provision of Central Treasury Services Bill 2020. With a title like that, it's no wonder that people outside this House wonder what we talk about. But it is a really important piece of legislation. It's a technical bill, but in plain English, what it actually is going to do is put the Climate Action Fund on a statutory footing. That means the state is going to commit to the Climate Action Fund, and it's going to make available any surplus levies from the fossil fuel levies to the Climate Action Fund, so that the Climate Action Fund can use the monies to take climate mitigation measures. This is really welcome. The government has promised that over the next number of years, up to 2027, there'll be close to a minimum of 500 million dedicated to the Climate Action Fund, and it's estimated that by us passing the amendment, there'll be a minimum of 50 million from Nora given to the Climate Action Fund. So that's really important, because that 50 million, while not enough in and of itself to take on all the climate mitigation measures that will be required, it will give vital support and funding to initiatives that can help us really address climate change. In terms of the Climate Action Fund, I suppose its primary aim is climate mitigation measures, but it can help us address COVID-19. And in talking about it today, I suppose I want to address 4 areas, particularly from a Dublin perspective, that I would like to see us use and the government use the Climate Action Fund to address. And they are congestion, housing, jobs and illegal dumping. Dublin is the 17th most congested city in the world. It's the 6th most congested city in Europe. And that takes an enormous toll on people's lives, people trying to work and live in the city. It makes it a very unpleasant place to live. It's unhealthy, it's unsustainable and it's unacceptable. So it is right that the government would actually address it and can use the Climate Action Fund to start to do that. There was, back in 2009, a smarter travel plan or policy. It did aim to reduce the work-related travel and reduce commuting by about, car commuting, private car commuting by about 20%, but it really didn't achieve its aims. So there's an absolute urgency on this government to really use the Climate Action Fund to address the congestion. I would encourage you, Minister, to use the funds to enable people to move away from the petrol and diesel cars, invest in electric vehicles, and critically for the City, Minister, public transportation. The public bus service. It's a really friendly bus service. It has kept going and it has been available to us all during COVID-19. But we need more of it. We need it to be more reliable. We need it to be more affordable as well. But most importantly, from this fund's perspective, more energy efficient and environmentally friendly. In terms of homes, 10% of our carbon emissions come from the residential sector. And here in Dublin, we have a very old built environment, residential homes, both private and public. The Dublin City Council homes are very old. Many of them are poorly insulated, poorly heated, unable to deal with our environment, our damp, wet environment. So people living with asthma, COPD and other respiratory problems, they were really struggling in those homes prior to COVID-19. But now with COVID-19, the impact is enormous on them. In my own constituency of Dublin Central, flat complexes like Henrietta House, Greek Street Flats, Chancery House, These are fine architectural structures. They're really important structures in our city, but they're quite unlivable for many of the tenants, Minister, and we really need to use some of the Climate Action Fund to address those inadequacies of those homes. I know the programme for government has a commitment to retrofit 500,000 homes. This fund will help that, but it's really important that we accelerate that programme as soon as possible. In terms of jobs, we spoke here yesterday about legislation that will enable the state access and participate in European funds. It's really important. Unemployment is at an all-time low. Youth unemployment is at a critically high level, and we really need to take every action that is possible, be radical and ambitious to ensure that youth unemployment doesn't take hold, but that long-term unemployment doesn't take hold. And the Climate Action Fund can help support protection of jobs, but also creation of new jobs and upskilling and retraining of workers and job seekers. So, Minister, I would urge you to use the Climate Action Fund to do that. And then just in terms of illegal dumping, it might sound like a really small thing, but it is a critical issue right across the country, but in the city it's really acute. You know, illegal dumping directly contributes to our greenhouse gases and our carbon emissions. We talk about it a lot, but we have to tackle it. If we tackle it, we are going to reduce our greenhouse gases. We are going to reduce our carbon footprint. And, Minister, in Dublin Central, in the North Inner City, it is repeatedly highlighted as a black spot, an illegal dumping and litter black spot. That's unacceptable. Dublin City Council are trying to be innovative. They are taking initiatives, and I would urge you, Minister, to use the Climate Action Fund to support local authorities, but also local groups. There's a lot of voluntary groups that go out at weekends, in evenings, after works, and give of their time voluntarily to clean up our streets. We need to support those groups too. Finally, I suppose, you know, the forest fires in California or in Australia are one thing that we're all used to, but it really is startling. You know, Siberian Arctic forest fires, it's a wake-up call for all of us, and climate action is something that we all must take seriously, and we all must make individual efforts. But we can't expect individuals alone to do it. The state has to stand up, has to commit to this, and that's what this legislation is doing. Minister, I commend you for bringing the legislation forward. The Fianna Fáil party will be supporting this legislation, and we look forward to working with you in making it a reality. Thank you.